Hi, my name is Fletcher Cloverman with EPA. I manage AQS for Region 9, and that's California, Arizona, Nevada, and Hawaii. We're concentrating on California right now. I ran some checks in AQS to check out how the monitoring data is doing, and found out Region 9 has over 17,000 air quality monitors in it. The U.S. has over 102,000 air quality monitors in it. Out of those 102,000 air quality monitors, about 40% of them have no data associated with them in 2013. So AQS also has 100% correct design values about 98% of the time. So my supervisor came up to me recently and said, "Hey, Fletcher, would you mind summarizing AQS in 15 minutes or less?" How many are AQS users here? Okay. I bet you probably think that's kind of funny. 15 minutes or less for AQS. I said, sure, no problem. So I'm going to give a real high-level overview of the Air Quality Systems database and what we use it for here. So let's see, where's my clicker? It's clicking. We've got a 40% clicker here. Sure. Okay, like I said, what you see here in this map, that's just ozone monitors across the U.S. There's a huge amount of data that AQS stores, and that's just ozone. So the data that is in AQS, there's raw data, there's ambient concentrations, there's monitor site metadata, and QA data, precision and accuracy data. All those stuff are very important for us when because we use that information to make regulatory decisions. And if there's incorrect or missing information, that affects the decisions that we have to make, and that means that we have to reach out to the agencies to figure out what's wrong with that data. So in addition to the ambient data that's uploaded to AQS, correct monitoring metadata is also very important. Let's see, there we go. Some of the important metadata types in AQS are the method code, spatial code, sampling frequency, monitor start and close dates, primary monitor flagging. Those are all very important. If those data are missing or incorrect, that helps account for that 40% of missing data. Okay. Yeah, it's very important that we get those metadata fields correct because they do affect regulatory decisions. And if that data is incorrect or missing, the more likely that data is up to be challenged legally. So we know that there's some missing data, there's some incorrect data. How do we fix that in AQS? Well, you got to find out what's wrong in AQS, and the way you can do that is run a couple reports. There's many different kinds of reports in AQS. Here's just a few that we use on an everyday basis. Oops, let's go back there. Okay. So these reports, they let us know what is going on in AQS. Let's try to figure out which report would be used in a couple of different kind of scenarios. So let's say that you have an incorrect method code. Where would you go to find out what method code is being used for that monitor? What kind of AQS report would you use? Anyone want to take a guess? I heard monitor description report. Yes, AMP 390. Okay. How about if you had a data completeness question? What kind of report would you look at for that? AMP 430, you got it. Okay. So with those reports, now you have the information to update AQS. How do you actually do that updating? You log into AQS. There's a couple of forms in AQS that you would use to do that. Two of the forms I have up here are the AQS site form, the AQS monitor form. The maintain monitor form is a good one to use, say, for example, if you wanted to update the method code. What you do is log into AQS under your screening group, go to the maintenance menu, drop-down menu, and choose monitor. Enter in the monitor ID information and click execute. And those tabs on the right side, you would go down to the methods tab, click that. That would show you what method tab is active in AQS. You would, since you're logged in under the screening group, you would be able to edit that to reflect what the correct method code should be. Okay. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about codes. There's 4 different kinds of codes in AQS. There's null data codes, qualifier codes, informational flags, and request exclusion flags. Nope, excuse me. Null data codes, of course, they null the data. They take away the concentrations. Qualifier codes, they keep the concentrations in there, but they're flagged. Request for exclusions flags, those should be used only if you're considering submitting an exceptional event demonstration to EPA. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about null data codes. These are all the null data codes that are out there. The description for those codes are available on the AQS codes webpage. I'll show you the link to that later on. For 2013, here's the percentages of codes that were used for PM 2.5 for ARB. So you can see about a quarter of it machine malfunction, another 20% or so was scheduled but not collected. Okay. For ozone, there's this kind of a similar breakdown. Auto calibration about 20%, precision check 14%, aberrant data 7%. It kind of gives you an idea of how these break down and what's more commonly used. Okay. We're also going to have a little exercise here about the use of null data codes and best practices. And for that, I'm going to bring up Michael Flagg here from our office.
Hi. AQS, it's like the best friend you never wanted. He's always around, but you don't exactly know what he's doing all the time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run through a couple scenarios using null data codes. How many people are confused about what code to use in what situation? Most folks. Okay, so we're not going to solve that problem today, but we're going to have a little social experiment to go through some of these situations, and we'll kind of review the results when we're finished. So the idea here is that we're going to go through these scenarios. There's 5 different options, and I'm going to give you each group a minute to discuss among yourselves, and then we're going to ask you for an answer. You guys ready? Okay. So number 1. Oh, Fletcher.
There. We know the answer. There's that 40%.
Okay, we'll just do this one anyway. The site technician takes an ozone analyzer offline and performs a 1-point QC check. You've got auto calibration, QC control points, precision zero span, QC audit, or precision check. So we're going to give you a minute that starts right now.
And let's wrap it up.
Okay, you've got 15 seconds. All right, so since everyone knows the answer to this question, did anyone come up with a different answer or a different code that you would have used? Anyone else? Okay, everyone is in agreement on this one. That one shouldn't be a problem in the future. Let's go to the next one. Okay, second scenario. An audit team performs a semi-annual flow check on a PM 2.5 FEM BAM 1020. Your options are multi-point calibration, QA audit, accuracy check, or miscellaneous void. And your minute starts now. Okay, you got 15 seconds. All right, here we go. Scenario 2. What did you guys discuss here up front? What did you guys come up with? QA audit. BL. Okay. What about you guys way in the back here? BL. And how about you in front? BL? BL? Okay, how about way back in the corner over there? BL? All right. Good job, everybody.
Survey says.
BL. Good job. All right. That's an easy one. Okay. During a filter weigh session, the lab technician discovers that there's a fingerprint on the filter. Your possibilities are filter damage, collection error, lab error, operator error, or filter inspection flag. You got a minute right now. And this is a post weigh. This is a post weigh. Okay, you've got 15 seconds. Okay, scenario 3. Everyone ready? What did you guys have here? Filter inspection flag, FI. You only get one. How about you guys down here with Mallory's table? Who's coding it? Well, yeah, this is the lab, so it would be the lab operator coding it. DJ, operator error. How about you guys up front? Filter damage? Okay, AJ. Oh, you guys up front. FI. One more. Anyone have something different than what we've already got here? BJ.
Who made up these codes?
Some really, really lucky person.
Don't get us started.
Okay, and the answer is...
Survey says.
BJ, operator error. And the key to this one was that it was a postway. And so lab technicians, if they're doing everything they should be doing, they should be wearing gloves, and therefore the fingerprint could have only been the site operator. You guys are easy, man. I got booed off the stage in South Coast for this example. Okay.
What is a filter inspection flag?
Filter inspection flag? I think a filter inspection flag might be appropriate for something like a scratch or a pinhole or something like that. Right. This is the moral of the story here. There can be multiple things for each scenario. Okay, next scenario. A PM10 BAM 1020 measures an hourly concentration of 985 for 2 hours. The preceding and following hourly averages were 675 and 700 micrograms per cubic meter, respectively. And you've got a minute starting now. Okay, you've got 15 seconds. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, what do you got? EH. How about back here? EH? That's not an option. Okay, how about you guys up front here? EH. That isn't even an H. How about back over here with Kate and Steve? EH. These are a very unified group. How about you guys over here? Lake County. What'd you get? DA or EH? Okay. We'll give you 2. And the answer that we came up with was exceeds upper limit. So this is a little bit of a tricky one because we don't have a ton of information, but this situation is possible when the PM10 BAMs reach their upper limit and get the error code of 985 that represents that. So a DL detection limit analysis. I have no idea. I've never seen that code used before. Okay, so you're saying it has to do something with the method detection limit on the analyzer. Yeah, it's a good explanation. That's a good clarification. Yes. Yes, I was assuming it was an FEM BAM, yeah.
But aren't FEMs only used on 2.5?
No, you can have an FEM PM10 BAM. Okay. All right, next scenario. This is a relatively simple one. An ozone probe is within 10 meters of the tree drip line. Your possibilities are field issue, does not meet siting criteria, does not meet QC criteria, sampler contamination, or miscellaneous void. Your minute starts now. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay, let's go through here. So what do you guys got back here? You guys ready? What do you got? SX. Citing criteria. How about right in front? Same? Monica? Same thing? Okay, how about this? Someone from this side of the room. How about you guys over here? SX. Anyone have something different? Trick question. Yeah, you're right. SX is not a null code, but it's a code or a flag. Yeah, it's a QA qualifier flag. SX. And the answer is XX. So again, you guys are very unified. This is completely different from what we got last time. So
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. Yeah.
Does it also have to take into consideration
The height of a tree is important. Yes, that is a factor. In a perfect world, this would be a more detailed description. But yeah, assuming that it's downwind, it's tall enough to be, an obstruction, things like that. Yeah, those are all good points. Yeah, it could be a bonsai tree. Okay. That would have been the trick question. Okay, so the last one here, a site operator does not lock the door to the monitoring site and leaves a sandwich on top of an ozone analyzer, and a bear enters the site and destroys everything. Your options are wildlife damage, vandalism, operator error,
This has really happened.
a site computer, or a quaff issue.
40% people. 40%.
All right, you got a minute starting now. Okay, we got 15 seconds. Yeah, the log got destroyed in the attack. Okay, all right. Last one, let's wrap this up. Okay, what did you guys think here in the front? Wildlife damage, AW. Okay, what about you guys down here in the front? I'm pointing to you guys. AW, wildlife damage.
What was that lab error?
What'd you guys come up with? AW, wildlife damage. Joe? AP. Yeah. AP. Okay, one more. Anyone got another one they want to shout out? Operator error. BJ. That was the error. Okay.
What do we got?
Wildlife damage. So you guys actually did really well. This is we did this exercise both in the development of this training and in South Coast, and we got a lot more variability with the other groups. But what you can see and what we kind of went through is that there are some situations where it's pretty obvious what the right null code should be, especially if you're given the answer to the first question. But there are some situations where it's relatively easy to understand which code you should use, and then there's other situations where there might be more of a judgment call. And like I said, I'm not gonna tell you exactly what code to use in every situation, but I think the takeaway from if EPA has any advice on using null codes, it would be first of all to code everything. Don't leave any missing data just hanging out in AQS by itself. You know, if you are going to use codes, I particularly don't like the miscellaneous void code. It's not very descriptive. And then be consistent. You know, I think, you know, we can look here, and there's a number of different possibilities. And I think the important thing for EPA when we look at the data and for when you guys are coding the data is to maintain some kind of consistency. If you're going to use AX for your precision check code, use that all the time. That may seem pretty simple, but we get a lot of different things happening in AQS, and maintaining consistency is one of those really important things, at least from the end user, from an end user standpoint, because this is the stuff that we're looking at when we're coming to do data audits and TSAs and things like that. So those are the takeaways, and Fletcher is going to finish out this presentation.
All right, thank you, Michael. So you saw some interesting codes there used. Some of the top 10 issues that we encounter with AQS are listed here. I'm not going to go over them. You can see for yourself what we have to deal with a lot. How to get to AQS for those who haven't tried. You can register on the AQS webpage at epa.gov. What you do is you fill out the AQS user registration and security guidelines forms. You can email those to me directly or send them off to EPA headquarters via fax or email. Once you're registered, you'll be sent an AQS user ID and password. And you must have Java enabled on your computer, as most of you probably already do. Okay. A couple of things coming down the pike. AQS user IDs are going to be discontinued, so normally you're assigned a 3-letter user ID. What's going to take its place are what you use for the ENSC, which will be a variation on the email that you use to access AQS. Okay. Discoverer, it's kind of the ad hoc querying tool that we use to write custom data retrievals. That's no longer supported. We do have a replacement. I don't think we have a name for it yet, Michael. I think we've been calling it Son of Discoverer right now, or Rediscoverer. Discoverer, I don't know. But it's coming. It's a lot easier to use, I'm happy to say. We're also working on combining PM10 site reports, similar to PM 2.5. We're going to allow updating batch upload of monitor metadata. So if you have a whole bunch of information that you need to update in AQS, you can write a text file and upload that directly, rather than use the AQS maintain site or maintain monitor forms. Support for the 80-character SAROAD card image is going away. I've never encountered that. Anybody ever encountered that? Okay. You still use that?
Years ago, I used that for NARS.
Okay, well, it's going away.
I'm surprised it hasn't gone away already.
We're also switching from screening groups to a new to agency roles, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. We're expanding seasonal sampling for all pollutants, and multiple simultaneous file uploads will be allowed. Okay. Here's some resources. The AIRS AQS webpage that has the registration information on it. It has manuals and guides. The past AQS conference materials are up there, and those are very useful. There's also an HTML-based user's guide, which is very good to have. Okay. My contact information, if you want to reach me. I'll also be here at the end of the day for the technical sessions. So that's all I have. Are there any questions? Daryl. Yes. Yes, we are. Any other questions? Or
Say the
does
question again.
Does AQS allow for zip files? Yes, it will. Yep. For download, it's CSV files and zip files. Yeah. Correct. Okay, so I'm going to hand the mic back on over to Michael Flagg. Thank you very much for your time.
back already. So this is going to be a two-part presentation. I'm going to do one part from EPA's perspective, giving you an overview, and then Mallory Ham from Ventura is going to give you a local district perspective. There's a crash course in data certification. Hopefully no one will get hurt. So we're going to cover things pretty quick. I'm going to go over 5 major things hopefully in about 10 minutes. And we're going to go over some submittal requirements, the reports, the criteria within the reports, what our interpretation of those criteria and reports are, and how we use certification, and then available resources. And hopefully, when we get done with this presentation, you'll be a little bit more informed about certification than the crash test dummy up on here on the screen. So, how many people here deal with data certification? Got a couple hands here and there. Okay, so really, what data certification is the agency telling EPA, and it's essentially telling all the data users in the world itself, our data has been through the data certification process, and it's accurate and complete to the best of our knowledge. That's the basic tenet of data certification, that you, as your agency, are saying that this data is valid and it's gone through all the checks and has reached its final point. So only a few people raise their hand, but really, the APCOs and the agencies that are submitting these data can't make that statement without all of the checks and all of the work that everyone does in this room. So, data certification, really is, envisioned to be a kind of a clearinghouse for all of the QA, QC information and all of the checks, and kind of a measure of the quality of the data. So here are the data submittal requirements. Hopefully you all know the AQS submittal requirements are 90 days after the end of the quarter. Falling in line with that are the certification submittal, which is due at May 1st of each year. And so again, what does this certification entail? It entails a letter from your APCO making the statement that we just talked about being accurate to the best of their knowledge. It contains a report, the AMP 600 report, and it contains the AMP 450 NC report, which is a non-criteria parameter report that I believe we're phasing out of the certification process in general. But like this diagram shows, with the triangle here, is that these reports really entail everything that's being done, from quality control to quality assurance to the federal audit programs, PEP and MPAP, completeness, and the DQO assessment that Matt Plate talked about in the beginning, and that I'm on and we'll talk about a little bit later. And it also includes QAP and QMP submittal. So this was envisioned to be kind of a one-stop shop for taking a look at your data in terms of the quality requirements. So what are the criteria? These criteria are really based, there's criteria for all the pollutants, but we're going to focus on ozone and PM2.5 just because those are kind of the main pollutants that everyone is at the forefront of everyone's minds right now. But these criteria in the report are really based on the DQOs. So for ozone, we're looking at acceptable green coloring at 7% and 10%. Those are directly related to the DQOs for ozone. The yellow and the red flags are both bad, despite one being yellow and one being red. Essentially, if your data is not green, you're not meeting the DQO. That's basically the takeaway. And the same thing's true for PM2.5, right? So the criteria for PM2.5 are based on the precision and then the flow rate of your flow rate checks and the semi-annual flow rate audits. So again, similar to ozone, there's a green, a yellow, and a red, and they all correspond to the appropriate level of variability in the data that are all related back to the DQOs. So this is what the reports look like, and you can see they're color-coded. Some are green, some are red, some are yellow. And they cover a number of different things. And we're going to go through each individual pieces of the report just as a snapshot so you've become familiar with it. How many people have seen the certification report or used the certification report? Okay, so it's a decent amount of you. So for PM 2.5, we have site-specific information. Then we have evaluation of flow rate bias noted here. The evaluation of precision is also noted. This is an actual data certification report for the car PQAO. And you can see that there's some red and yellow marks here that are relating to both the number of co-located sites and whether or not they actually meet the precision criteria of 10%. The report also contains an evaluation of the national PEP program, which is a measure of the national bias in the PM 2.5 network. As you can see, you get the number of methods, the number of audits, the completeness, and then an assessment of the bias, which is for the car PQAO is pretty good. We do the same thing for ozone. So we have site-specific information and we have a national summary. For the site-specific information, it's really an evaluation of the precision and bias and the verification of one-point QC checks, and again, an evaluation of the national bias. So for ozone, things are looking pretty good. So considering that we have this report, and we are looking at whether or not your data and your PQAO is meeting specific requirements, there's been a lot of questions about how EPA is going to interpret and use this report in the greater context of its regulatory decision making. So what EPA views this tool, we really view this data certification as a tool. It's not the end all be all. It is a requirement to be submitted, but really we view it as a tool for both you guys who are producing the data and for the end users who are making decisions with the data to evaluate systematic and individual precision and accuracy results for your PQAO. Region 9 is not going to be setting concurrence flags. So in the past, you may have noticed that when you submitted data certification underneath the previous method, EPA would either say, yes, your data, we agree that your data is certified, or no, we think that there's something wrong with it. In this new paradigm with the AMP 600, Region 9 at least is not going to be making judgment or saying yes or no for any individual check within the AMP 600. So those reds and yellows where the recommendation is no, EPA is not going to come and say, is going to put their stamp on it. And that's really because we do view it as a tool, and we really view the requirement as you running this report and submitting it to EPA. That's the only thing you really have to worry about, other than using it as a tool to assess the quality of the data. Some important flags that will show up are the U flag, which is the uncertified flag, which means you haven't submitted your data certification, that you are delinquent in getting us that information. The S, the submitted flag, it means that you submitted your package and everything's okay. And then the modified flag. So this is a question we get pretty often, is that if I change my data after certification, what happens? Well, what's going to happen is this M flag is going to show up in your certification report, identifying to EPA that you've modified the data in some respect. And when this happens, when you change the data after certification, we really require you to recertify that data with the new information. But these are the only flags that you have to worry about, at least in Region 9. So these are some general resources. Don't contact me, contact Fletcher. He's our data certification expert, and he handles all of the back end of that, and his information's here. So that's an overview for EPA, and we can hand it off for Mallory for his presentation. Then we'll take questions after for both.